You're brushing your teeth. Nothing is happening. No one is talking to you. No one is watching you. And then, out of nowhere, it hits. A comment you made in 9th grade. A wave you gave someone who wasn't waving at you. The way your voice cracked in front of the entire class 11 years ago. Your whole body reacts before your mind even finishes replaying it. You groan out loud, alone, in your own bathroom. But here's the strange part. You cannot remember what you had for lunch 3 days ago. Your brain deleted that instantly. But it filed this one moment of pure humiliation away like a legal document, and it has been pulling it back out at random for over a decade. You probably think this is just bad luck, some glitch in how memory works, an accident of a brain that's a little too sensitive. That's what most people assume. But researchers who study memory and emotion will tell you something stranger. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when it does this. It's doing exactly what it was built to do, and it's doing it on purpose. To understand why, you have to understand how memory actually decides what's worth keeping. Neuroscientist James McGaugh spent decades studying this question, and what he found reshapes how you should think about every mortifying memory you've ever had. McGaugh discovered that when you experience something emotionally intense, your body releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, and those hormones act directly on a part of your brain called the amygdala. The amygdala, in turn, sends a signal to the parts of your brain responsible for storing memories, essentially flagging the moment as important. Not important like a phone number. Important like a matter of survival. The more intense the emotion, the stronger that flag. And the more vividly the memory gets locked into long-term storage. This is why you remember exactly where you were during a moment of real fear or real joy while an entire ordinary Tuesday just vanishes. Your brain isn't randomly deleting most of your life and randomly saving your worst moments. It's running a very deliberate filing system, and embarrassment happens to trigger one of the loudest emotional alarms your body can produce. But that raises an obvious question. Why would embarrassment, of all things, count as an emotional emergency on the same level as fear? The answer comes from psychologist Mark Leary, who developed something called sociometer theory. Leary's research suggests that your self-esteem isn't just a vague feeling about your own worth. It functions more like a gauge, constantly and unconsciously monitoring one specific piece of information. How likely are you right now to be accepted or rejected by the group around you? For nearly all of human history, being rejected by your group wasn't just uncomfortable, it was catastrophic. Exile from a small band of hunter-gatherers often meant losing access to food, protection, and survival itself. There was no surviving alone for long on the open savanna. So your brain evolved a highly sensitive early warning system for anything that might lower your social standing, and embarrassment is that system's loudest alarm. The cracking voice, the awkward wave, the joke that landed in silence, these register in your nervous system as potential threats to your place in the group, and your brain, doing exactly what evolution built it to do, stamps them as critical information, then files them somewhere you can't easily reach the delete button. That's the first half of the story. Here's the part that makes it stranger and, weirdly, a little bit comforting. Psychologist Thomas Gilovich ran a series of studies on something he called the spotlight effect, and the results should honestly change how you feel about every cringeworthy memory you carry. Gilovich had participants wear an embarrassing t-shirt into a room full of strangers, then asked them to estimate how many people in the room had noticed it. The participants consistently guessed the number was roughly double the actual figure. People believe they are being watched, judged, and remembered far more intensely than they actually are, because each of us is standing at the center of our own personal spotlight, and it is very easy to assume everyone else is watching that same stage. In reality, almost everyone around you is standing in the center of their own spotlight instead, largely preoccupied with their own awkward moments, their own remembered mistakes, their own version of brushing their teeth at midnight and suddenly wincing at something from years ago. Here's what that means, concretely. That teacher who watched your voice crack in ninth grade almost certainly does not remember it. That person you waved at by mistake forgot about it within the hour, if they even registered it in the first place. The moment that has been running on a loop in your head for over a decade, vivid enough to physically make you groan out loud while brushing your teeth, likely left almost no trace anywhere else. You are the sole remaining archivist of an event that, to everyone else involved, was utterly forgettable. So why does your brain keep the file open long after the supposed threat has completely expired? Because your amygdala doesn't have a built-in expiration date. Once a memory gets flagged as emotionally significant, it stays flagged, regardless of how much time passes or how irrelevant the original social stakes have become. Your nervous system isn't checking in with the calendar. It's still operating as though the tribe might one day need to reference this exact moment to decide whether you're worth keeping around. In a strange way, every unprompted cringe memory that interrupts your day is a small, misfiring echo of an ancient survival check. Your brain running an audit that made perfect sense 80,000 years ago and makes almost none today. Think about what that means for your actual life, right now, today. That 2 a.m. wave of embarrassment over something you said in a meeting isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a signal that your social alarm system is doing its job with more enthusiasm than the modern world requires. The instant replays don't mean the moment mattered as much as it felt like it did. They mean your brain, quite literally, cannot tell the difference between a career-ending catastrophe and an awkward laugh 11 years ago, because both got tagged by the exact same emotional alarm at the exact same intensity. None of this means the discomfort isn't real. It means the discomfort isn't accurate. The version of the story your brain keeps replaying, the one where everyone noticed, everyone remembers, everyone quietly judged you and never forgot, is almost certainly not the version that happened. The real version, the one confirmed by decades of research into how memory and self-perception actually work, is far smaller, far quieter, and far less witnessed than the one looping behind your eyes. So the next time you're standing at the sink, minding your own business, and some ancient, humiliating memory comes crashing back uninvited, you don't have to fight it or bury it deeper. You can simply recognize it for what it actually is. Not evidence, not a permanent verdict, just an old alarm, still ringing for an audience that stopped listening years ago.